Now, the former Labour MP George Galloway is hoping that he too will be allowed back 16 years after he was expelled. And as you can see, he joins us now live from Liverpool. Morning, Mr Galloway. Thanks for being with us. And just bring us up to date. What is the state of your reapplication to join the party?
Nice to talk to you again. It's been some years since my last acquaintance with Sky News, so I must be doing something right if I've made it onto your terrific show, which I've been listening to this morning. Well, I've written to the Labour Party General Secretary asking that my expulsion by Mr Blair over the Iraq War in 2003 should be rescinded. It should be rescinded because it was contrary to rule at the time. It was, I think, unjust, and Mr Benn, Mr Foot, Mr Corbyn were all protesting outside, Mr Benn and Mr Foot inside the expulsion hearing. And it now looks ridiculous, Neil. Everybody now knows that I was right about Iraq, and it was Mr Blair and his friends that were wrong. So something that was unjust, contrary to rule, and now looks ridiculous, probably should be corrected.
Well, I know that you challenged it at the time, and I'm sure that you would challenge it again now, but the charge, the rationale as put forward by the Labour Party at the time for your expulsion was that you incited Arabs to fight British troops.
It's not true, of course, and we said so at the time. We have a QC's opinion. He's now a QC, he was a barrister then. To the contrary, the whole thing was a kangaroo court. The decision was predetermined by Tony Blair. I don't think even Mr Blair would deny that. And I think that it's time, high time, that it was lifted, because we have been vindicated. Those of us who said that the Iraq War would turn into an unmitigated disaster. In fact, we underestimated just how catastrophically wrong it would go. And since then, of course, I've twice beaten the Labour Party in parliamentary elections, two of the most significant election results, I think, of recent times. And I'm the man that beat Roy Jenkins, the head of the last breakaway. You're talking about breakaways. I'm quite good at beating the leaders of breakaways, so maybe I could do a job for them. But if not, I've still got my various platforms and I'm still very busy.
But just in terms of your decision to try and get back into the party, presumably this is a decision you could have made at any point over the last 16 years. So what is it about this point in the political narrative where you're seeing people like Luciana Berger leaving the party? What is it about this moment that makes you want to come back?
Well, I think with the Blairites walking out the door, hurling their slander at Corbyn and the Labour leadership, and it's really a black op that's going on here. I've been listening to your show and others all morning. This is pure Goebbelian propaganda. Repeat a lie often enough, and some people might believe it. I was in Liverpool.
Goebbelian propaganda. We just mentioned Luciana Berger. I mean, do you think it's entirely appropriate to talk about Goebbelian propaganda where we've got a Jewish Labour MP leaving because of anti-Semitism?
Yeah. Well, I don't believe she's leaving because of anti-Semitism. I believe you want people to believe that, and the Goebbels is you, and the Times, and the other organs that are pumping out this foul slander against the Labour Party, knowing that it's untrue. The Wavertree Labour Party has a Jewish chair. Luciana Berger was 3 times elected as a Labour MP in Liverpool Wavertree. That doesn't sound like anti-Semitism to me. Anti-Semitism is less now than it was when Miliband was the leader, a Jewish leader. There was more anti-Semitism, according to the statistics of Jewish organisations themselves. So it's all a lie. Corbyn is not anti-Semitic. Not a fibre, not an atom, not a molecule of his mind or body could be so described. That is the Goebbelian lie.
Is there a place in your mind then, Mr Galloway, for pro-Israeli Labour MPs anymore?
Well, I think they're entitled to their point of view, but the Labour Party is entitled to decide that someone so infatuated with Mr Netanyahu's Israel, like Joan Ryan, who you have not once said today was caught on camera by Al Jazeera. You've got the footage. Show it. Her discussing getting £1 million from Mr. Netanyahu's embassy in London to undermine Jeremy Corbyn and undermine the Labour Party and its leadership. You know that, but you will not tell your viewers that. Caught on camera discussing £1 million bounty to cause problems for Corbyn, cause problems for the Labour Party.
Man these days,
You've painted her today as if she was
putting that point to Joan Ryan.
Well, Joan Ryan, you have painted today as some kind of saintly figure, when in fact she was caught on camera as an agent of the Israeli embassy in London. Why don't you tell your viewers that?
We asked Miss Baker. I've seen the video. We've talked about the video. The video was not about £1 million of bribe.
Why don't you show it?
Bring Labour MPs.
She was bringing £1 million to what Labour MPs? What were these Labour MPs going to do with the £1 million?
Well,
if Jeremy Corbyn had been caught getting £1 million,
the Al Jazeera report.
Well, listen, you haven't shown it, and you will not show it. But if Jeremy Corbyn was caught with the Russian ambassador getting £1 million for Labour MPs to go to Russia, do you think you might have shown that footage? I rather think you would, and endlessly on a loop.
Well, we've been accused of putting things on a loop in Sky News before. Perhaps not that, and certainly there'll be plenty who disagree with your assessment of that piece of journalism by Al Jazeera, including the journalist who was responsible for it. I mean, whilst we have you, though, I do need to ask you just one question on the situation as regards Shamima Begum. What is your view of the way in which the Home Office have acted here? They have taken a decision which we know will be challenged by the lawyers, but it seems entirely dependent on one thing, that she is a Bangladeshi national as well as being a British citizen.
It sounds rather sordid to me, and I cannot imagine that any British judge will uphold it, because the government would appear to have decided that someone is de facto a Bangladeshi national, though they may not have known it and certainly don't consent to it. And I don't think that any British citizen can have their citizenship revoked on that very flimsy basis. She and the other returning ISIS people should be on trial. They should be behind bars. They have de facto committed offences by aiding and abetting the most satanic group ever to emerge on the face of the earth in the last 60 or 70 years. But you can't deport someone to Bangladesh who doesn't consider themselves to be Bangladeshi, never consented to be Bangladeshi, but was in fact
sorry, Mr. Galloway, we're running out of time. I just want to put. But do you not, at least to an extent, understand why there will be those who are listening to your response here, who see Shamima Begum in her own words saying that she didn't have a problem with what happened in Manchester, that she was matter of fact about decapitations occurring in and around where she was, and on the basis of that alone, there will be people who suggest that she shouldn't return to the United Kingdom?
Well, maybe you missed what I said. I said she should be behind bars. She should be on trial. She definitely committed an offence by aiding and abetting these Satanists. That's my view. But taking her British passport away is unlawful, and I think the courts will decide that.
George Galloway, many thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Stay with us and All Out.